my name is Nicole Gregory. I am the museum director here at the Mort Museum of Collierville History. Today is October 20th, 2025, and it is our second recording of the Collierville Oral History Project, In Their Words. Today I have Steve Cole on board, so can you give us a little introduction to you, Steve?
Okay, my name is Steve Cole. I've lived here about 26 years now in Collierville.
And what brought you here? Did you move here with family or?
Yeah, mainly work. I've been to Memphis, moved here in 1990, but I lived out in the unincorporated area. That was kind of questionable services and things like that. No library to go to, even something like that. So I finally moved here and I enjoyed the town. Finally, it was to meet everything I was interested in, to find out and to learn and do and stuff around here.
Awesome. So we can get into maybe some of the basics here. When you first arrived to Collierville, what changed for you? We know that when a lot of people got here, it was a town of a couple thousand people, and now it's almost 53,000 people. So have you noticed any huge fundamental changes in Collierville since the time you moved here? Yeah,
it's grown quite a bit, especially some of the roads they put in that allowed more expansion and housing stuff. But yes, it's a quite bigger area. The housing market's changed a lot.
And is that the most drastic thing for you? Just like
and some of the more stores, more, especially in the last, 5-10 years, it's really some of the nicer stores that moved in town.
Awesome. And has it all been positive in your eyes, or would you have liked to kept the small town feeling, or do you like seeing Collierville grow?
No, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed all the things you can do around here. If you go to the movie, it's 3 miles from my house, almost, something like that. So it's nice to be in an area where you can access to these things.
Awesome. And can you kind of describe like the neighborhood where you grew up, maybe the neighborhood that you live in now? How are these things changed? Like, how do you feel about them? Do you feel safe and things like that?
Well, I grew up in Mississippi, about 2.5 hours, 3 hours away from here, and so we moved to other states, but we came, like I said, came to Memphis in 1990, and there, like I said, it was unincorporated. I didn't feel too safe, especially when they had an event happen, and I was ready to get out of town. Didn't expect to sell my house, but it sold miraculously, and we got here, and I would just enjoy the safety and the peace, and I've enjoyed the town quite much from that.
And has your neighborhood changed since you moved there, or it kind of stayed the same for you?
Well, we've actually owned 3 different houses in town.
Oh, wow.
We keep moving around for some reason. Not the wisest move. It seemed like we lost money every time. We got into a bigger house when my daughter was in the last year in high school, so she went off to college. Like, well, we're empty nesters now, so we sold that in a few years, and we live in a smaller house north side of town. It's real close to the park. I used to walk there quite often, to the Johnson Park, out to the Wolf River. So it was a nice area to enjoy.
So you've had some real estate in Collierville over the years. So are there any kind of activities, traditions that may be in the neighborhood or with your church or any organization? Is there anything that you've seen consistently happen in Collierville that you have enjoyed or maybe or don't happen anymore, or things like that?
Well, I always think about the Christmas parade. I've always been, when I was younger in high school, we were involved in Christmas parade. So Christmas parade was always a big thing. And it was a small town Christmas parade, but they had a lot of fun things going on. And then we have the music on the square. What's it called? The concert on the square.
Yeah, concerts on the square.
And that's always great. Just down home, sitting in the square, sitting in the grass, and we'll listen to these different bands. And so I enjoy that, and I haven't been attending much of that lately, but things like that, some of those little things that happens around town has always been interesting to enjoy and stuff.
Absolutely. And the Christmas parade's become kind of a production. Like when you first got here, like how was it long like it is now, or?
No, they went Rowlett and came back down Rowlett and came through the square, and that was about it. So,
wow.
So you could see it twice almost, I think, if you sit on Rowlett. But it was just, different marching groups and a few trucks pulling floats, and so it was kind of small.
Do people used to, how today they always reserve their spot with their chairs? Are people fighting over?
I don't remember that. That's kind of a new thing, I believe, putting your chairs out there the day before so you make sure you...
I mean, shoot, we are seeing them 2-3 days before, so...
Drive down there, there's chairs along the boulevard there, just whatever.
I mean, I've seen tents and stands and all kinds of crazy things, so... So when you moved here, you were a little later in life, correct?
Right.
So How have you, I've heard that you mentioned you had kids. So, I mean, how did they feel about going to the school system and
Yeah.
things like that? How did you feel about the school system?
Right.
Do you think it's improved or?
Yeah. Well, my older daughter, when we moved here, she was attending a private school, so she finished that, 1 year left, and so she finished, and so she had not experienced that. My youngest daughter, she went through junior high and high school, and she loved it. She had a lot of opportunities, and, I mean, it was great. We didn't have any problems or anything. The only reason we left, put my daughter in private school, because she had a problem in this other school in this unincorporated area that, like, we didn't feel like they treated her right, so we just pulled her out of school. So it didn't have to have that problem here. It was really great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And did your second daughter go to her historical school?
Yes, she did. She went to that junior high school there.
But say, how did she feel? I've heard some crazy things about that school.
I don't know. She didn't say much about it.
I've heard it's been everything from where it's haunted and everything
No.
like that. So I was wondering if they had any
No.
like stories to tell.
No.
Well, moving up from the historical school, how about the town square? Like, I mean, we've all seen how it's gone over some
Right.
serious change, and of course, every natural disaster that could happen to the town square has happened to the town square. So, since you've been here, has it drastically changed for you? Do you use it more or less now?
Lately, it seemed like it's changed more because it's got more of the realtors moved in. I don't know why. They have less of the little stores, and antique stores were more. Some more of them were in the mall. There was a little, like a coffee shop, bookstore that was there, and things like that. But we'd come down here and eat at the Silver Caboose was always there, I think. So we always enjoyed that.
And I say Men's Eye has been around for quite some time too. Have you?
What's that?
Men's Eyes, our little fun little ice cream stand that's over there.
Oh, okay. No, I don't use that. I don't go there.
Oh, that probably shaved years off the lab. I love their food.
They had the hardware store. I missed that. They had the what's the name of the
McGinnis.
McGinnis. Yeah, the McGinnis had a McGinnis service station, but they had the McGinnis hardware store. And it was just, you could go there and find all kind of neat things.
And that actually segues really nicely. You're kind of our resident expert on the battles of Collierville here. You've done a lot of tours for us and things like that. And you're the person who I call when I have questions. So have you noticed any of that impact the square at all? Are there any residual like marks left, or have you ever gone over there? I mean, I know we have a lot of artifact hunters that try to go and metal detect the square to see if they can find something, but
I don't know if they're allowed to really do that, but we had it was last year, year before last, a man bought a commercial property. He said, I was cleaning up the yard and found a bullet, and I thought, okay, everybody finds Civil War bullets, but it was an unusual bullet that, yeah, this is not your normal one, so I was surprised. And that was the same bullet that the unit that fought here used, that gun, so it was neat.
And I've heard rumors over the years that some people have been trying to do an archaeological dig on the square to find the old fort, I heard.
No, they were going to do a ground penetrating radar, as
Yeah.
far as I know, but this place has probably been moved around and dug up, and it's over here where there was a beer joint or whatever. They had a lot of trash out in the back, in the ground and stuff. It was probably would be worthless to try to find.
So you don't think there's going to be any like national treasure moments there?
No, I don't think so. No.
So moving around, we all know how Collierville's gotten bigger, obviously, a lot more industrialized, but even just down to like how you feel about Collierville when you walk down the street, how has Collierville changed for you?
I don't know if it changed a lot. It seems like there's a lot of more traffic sometimes, but the city keeps up with the movement, the flow, and the traffic. So I don't see anything that really bothers me or anything. I guess maybe because you're retired, you don't have any place to go in a hurry.
Yeah,
but when you go into a doctor's office, you need to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's obviously so many activities that the town puts on too. Do you feel like that's improving the quality of life here in Collierville? You think that we should put our focuses somewhere else, or?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean, but yeah, there's a lot of different activities going on that keeps
you
people
occupied.
coming out and doing different things. Most of like what stuff going on the square. 2 weekends ago, police has a car show. I've never been to that, so I went to that, and it was interesting. It was a lot of cars. I never been to that, but that was good.
I was about to say that one's one of their bigger events too.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they did it for a while until I got out here. So
I've never been, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is the square has kind of come more of an event space than it is like an actual like commercial hub in a lot of ways. So, and that kind of moves into, so let me ask you this. Do you consider yourself old Collierville?
No, I guess I don't.
You don't?
I don't think I'm old Collierville.
You don't think you're old Collierville?
But I was surprised. I calculated I've been here 26 years. Of course, I've been retired about 6 years, so
Yeah.
it was really, I consider it, well, I was 20 years here actively, but
Yeah.
retired is 6 years kind of different.
Yeah. Oh, because it's always a debate about people, oh, I've lived here 40 years, but I'm
Yeah.
not old Collierville.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I wouldn't call you new Collierville,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Well, I feel I don't have a lot of stories to tell of what changes and stuff, because I feel
Yeah.
like I'm kind of new here and still learning things.
I know, but almost 30 years is a good chunk of change. I mean, so like, I mean, when you think about old Collierville, what comes to mind? Like,
Well, when there was a lot of cheap houses and stuff like that, mainly. Few places, stores and stuff. I remember we used to come over here, went to a church here before we lived here. We were down the road a little bit, and so I stopped at a Backyard Burger, and it was a drive-through at that time.
Oh,
And now
wow.
now it's just, you can sit down and eat and stuff.
there's a whole facility now.
Yeah. So it's, things like that has gotten more stores and places to go to. I'm still getting used to a lot of it.
So you say that like when you got here, it was expanding, but it wasn't as big as it is now. Because I know a lot of people,
Right.
there's more apartment complexes, there's more
Yeah.
businesses and things like that. And I mean, that kind of shows a really interesting trajectory for this town. But if you can think of anything from when you moved here about 30 years ago, what about that time period do you miss that maybe isn't here anymore?
I'm not sure if I missed anything.
You must say, do you reminisce about like maybe things that used to happen that are no longer allowed? I mean, do you feel like it's still as safe as it felt back then?
Yeah, I feel like it's safer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
Safer?
so.
I've had a lot of people tell me that it's not
Well, I
as
mean,
safe.
I don't say it's safer, but I feel it's safe mainly because I'm live on the north side of town. I can hear the guns range up there from the police department at night. They're shooting.
So you know that you're protected.
Like, I know those are good guys, not the bad guys. So.
And since you're kind of our resident expert on the battles of Collierville, do you think that with the 250th coming up, do you think that plays an important part in the history of this area? Because a lot of people say, oh, well, they weren't really battles, they were skirmishes
Yeah.
at the most. But for us, that was a big deal. It flattened this whole area. And you know, like I said, with the 250th coming up, do you think we should put more emphasis on these battles or something like that? Or do you feel like that we talk about them enough? Even though
Well, the 250th is for the U.S.
Yes.
history, so it's kind of not fit in the colonial history, but
yeah.
But I mean, it's part of the town, and that's why I like talking about. I give talks, and the first director I worked with and the second director, they would just always invite me, come in and give a talk. So, and I'm kind of quiet and shy, but when I get up there and talk about the Battle of Collierville, I just got so much I want to talk about, so I can't talk.
Well, and I was going to ask you, do you have a synopsis? Because I mean, people still don't know a lot of the details
Yeah.
of the battle. I mean, people who've lived here longer than you don't know
Yeah.
the battles of Collierville.
Well, the main thing I tell people, do you know that the battle was fought here in town, not in the square? You know, that's where it was.
yeah.
Where the railroad tracks was. And General Sherman happened to be coming through town when he stumbled on a battle. You don't see that in many history books about some Union train rides were in the middle of a battle, and they're like, what are you going to do with this? Guys they're right on top of the train.
Yeah.
So anyway, but so they were close to capturing General Sherman, but they didn't. So that was kind of interesting. And I would tell people also his monument in Washington D.C. This, a monument to him. It's got
Yeah.
all the battles that he fought in, the big battles of the Civil War, and it included his Collierville.
Oh, so it is a.
It's
so,
listed on there as one of the big battles where he only had 500 troops here under him. He claims he wasn't commanding it. It was the commander that was locally. He said, I was just there to assist. But he listed that one of the battles he fought in, Battle of Collierville.
And I heard that battle was like by the skin of their teeth a little bit. It could
Yeah.
have gone either way.
Yeah, I mean, it could have happened anyway, but they didn't really know Sherman was here, I don't think. So, you haven't found anybody saying, oh, we almost caught Sherman, right after they give after-action reports. They don't mention that. So they didn't know what was going on. There were actually 3 generals here, major generals.
Yeah, I remember that. Then
Yeah.
I think 2 of them are buried up at Elmwood, aren't they not?
Oh, these are Union generals.
The Union generals, yeah. And the question is too, like if the battle went the other way,
Yeah.
how do you think that would have changed how Collierville would have turned out? Do you think it would have
What
still...
would have happened with General Sherman marching to Atlanta if he captured him? Of course, they probably would have traded him or something, to get, or maybe he'd been killed. It'd been a whole different thing.
I know.
But some people don't understand what went on here and stuff.
And the two battles happened within days of each other too.
It was
right?
I think it was like 8 days, and there were 2 battles too. What makes it really personal to me, I've always had the idea of maybe I'll one day, live in a house, in a place where a battlefield was fought, maybe a battlefield where my ancestor was. Well, I have an ancestor that traced to a regiment that was here the second battle.
So you had all that moving was for good.
Yeah, he may have been here in all this battle. So that kind of makes me want to talk more about it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the battle was not really just in the square. You said it was more up. Is it up here close to the museum, or maybe?
No, it was the railroad tracks. You could say that. But Sherman, he got into the Earth Fort. The Earth Fort was right behind the museum here, where I call it at the water tower, the shadow of the water tower, sort of a little bit offset.
Oh, because I remember.
But he was hiding there. You might say
True.
We claim he was hiding, but.
And there's an interesting story with a horse, wasn't there, about his favorite horse?
I don't know if his favorite. His horse got captured. They gave it back to him. So I think if he had gotten captured, they'd somehow made a deal to trade him back. But I volunteered for another organization that was working out of the town hall, and we studied everything about all the wives' tales, my grandpapa told me this, and so one of them said that somebody took Sherman's sword from the train that was here. His train. Well, we found out it wasn't his sword. It said General, whatever the other general was, I can't remember which one it was. And it listed Sherman's staff. So he was on Sherman's staff. It wasn't Sherman's sword.
Oh, but you did find it.
Yeah, they did. They did actually pick up the sword when they left the train.
I love when urban legends turned out to be true. That's actually really
fun.
Fun.
I like to talk about the one thing I really talk about is the cannon that was used here. It was a very, very rare cannon. Only 42 were made. It was almost like a machine gun. It wasn't really a machine gun, but it was a breech loader that you hand cranked, and that was just a very rare gun. No one would never hear about it. But
yeah,
there were 4 of them here that was firing at Sherman's train, putting holes in it.
Oh wow. So, yeah. And do you think we maybe might find one of those somewhere, or you think they took them all with them?
Well, no, they I don't know which ones were here, but I forget how many survived the war. They collected them at West Point. For some reason. And now over the years, West Point gave them out, but they kept one. So there's one at West Point, and there's one at Frankfort, Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah. And there was another one at a museum in north part of New York. And I called them up asking about something about it, details, and they said, oh, the Army closed that down and that display, and we don't know where the gun went to. So it's gone. But they're replicas. You can go see replicas that are pretty close to accurate. But
I was gonna say, how's a probably a couple 100-pound gun go missing like that?
Anyway.
And do you feel like maybe the town should emphasize these 2 battles? I mean, I know
I would.
I know you're biased.
I'm biased, and I can talk about it.
I know in the recent years with all the situations with like the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that, talking about Confederate and Union stories is sometimes a little difficult. But I mean, we are kind of in a very odd place here with just with how Tennessee was during the Civil War and things like that. So, but I don't know. I mean, it's just sometimes it's hard to talk about those conversations because everybody has such strong beliefs already. So I guess I definitely defer to you on those things.
Well, I like this history, and I like military history, and so I look at battles, and I don't just look at, who's the smartest general, who's the, the ugliest one, or who's the one that had West Point degree. I just like to see how did they fight, and did they do good, and what was the results, and what caused it, and stuff.
And you've given quite a few tours about it, correct?
Oh, I do it all the time.
Do you have any funny memories from those tours? I mean, I know those people probably say some crazy things to you.
I don't know. I guess I don't get enough questions asked, but I can't think of. You have to put me on the spot to think of something funny.
No worries.
Yeah, or unusual. I mean, I've had some people that I don't know that had ancestors that may have been here or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, there's a guy here in Germantown. His ancestor was a captain on the Union side.
Oh, wow, that's actually funny how he ended up here.
Yeah.
Because they came
It
down
was
through
really
the coast.
funny
Right?
because he lived in Australia for a time, so nice.
Oh, okay. So now we're really getting
His
convoluted.
daughter moved to Germantown or somewhere, so he came to Germantown. So
It's funny. It's a small world until it
Yeah.
isn't, you know. Well, and listen, we don't have to talk about just your tours. Is there
Yeah.
any funny things that you've gone through in Collierville that made you go, "That's kind of hilarious"? Anything silly that you've seen?
I'm sure there has been. I'm trying to think of something.
No rush.
Yeah.
No rush.
I mean, I find humor in all kind of things, like what's going on. But
I mean, there's all kinds of funny things. So
Yeah,
we can
so I
switch
think-
gears. Is there anything that's been extremely difficult or complicated for you since you moved here? Have you ever gone like, "Dang, I really don't like that," or anything like that?
I'm trying to think of something. I mean, there were some changes. You know, you think, why did they take this store? Why did this store close down, or you know, something like that? We had, I think it was I don't know what kind of grocery store, and they had another grocery store here, and like that was where I used to go shop, and like
Yeah.
not there anymore. They had a certain egg salad or chicken salad I used to get.
Oh, wow.
So, and they don't get anywhere else. So
Are you talking about the ones that were on the square?
no, this was over there where they put in that new FedEx place near
Oh, like where carriers.
Firehouse.
Oh, by the firehouse.
the Firehouse Deli.
Oh, the sub stop. Okay.
Yeah, the deli, not the Firehouse. Yeah.
Oh, so they replaced it with a commercial.
That was a
business.
grocery store.
Oh, I didn't even know
Yeah.
that. That's interesting.
You write this stuff down.
I'm about to say, well, this is why we have you here, so I can know this stuff. Because we get a lot of people who are interested in like the
Yeah.
previous buildings or businesses that have been in the area, and it's kind of hard to keep track because some are here for decades and others are only here for a
Well,
couple weeks.
Example, one of the things I like, the improvement they put in a computer store, and it's a really nice computer store. It's been here for a long time.
You think about Putton?
Patton's
Patton's,
computer.
yeah.
I mean, I haven't bought much there lately, but if you want to go buy certain things, you can go in there and pick it up one day and take your computer and repair. So try not to advertise, but
And this is going to be a difficult question I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you this because
Okay.
you're also a civil history person.
okay.
Now, during some of my research, I saw like during the Black Lives Matter movement, they had an issue with Confederate Park being called Confederate
Right.
Park. Do you feel like, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like we should be taking down monuments like that, or do you feel like they have a place in history?
Well, I think they have a place in history because they mark where things have happened. Naming the park may not be as important as the monuments and stuff. So
Yeah.
I like. And of course, I mean, the town put a halt on markers and monuments put there because it's getting so crowded. You
Yeah, I mean, to
you
be
could have the
fair.
whole thing, you know, put the monument for anything, go put it in the square. You know.
Yeah,
It
well,
won't
we've already
work.
got a cabin and a
Gotta-
gazebo.
gotta close it down for a while. But no, I mean, it's kind of odd. Nowadays they talk about you may go to a national park and you only talk about one side. And where are the Confederates?
Yeah.
What did they do? We can't talk about them.
Oh, and I have to agree. There are times
Yeah.
where you need to talk about both sides just
Yeah.
from a historical point. Because, I mean, you're a historian in a lot of ways, so you understand that having both sides
Yeah.
present is the only way to make an informed decision about anything. If you're only
Yeah.
talking about one side, it's kind of...
Well, the one thing I've been doing is two of the Confederates who fought here was I went to their homes where they lived. One lived in Bahia, one lived in Carrollton, Mississippi, Bahia, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And you go to their home and see where they lived,
And
which is kind of interesting.
do you feel like they were just normal people just living their lives?
Yeah, I mean, it just gives you a different idea of what their life is about. So.
Yeah, not just the war side, you know?
The other thing is it makes Collierville kind of interesting. The colonel that was captured here was his statue is one of the two that's in the state. I mean, U.S. Capitol, the Statuary Hall. James E. George.
Oh, okay.
So his statue is in there for being the son of Mississippi. Because of the things he did in the U.S. Senate and during his political years.
Interesting. So you're kind of on the same path, like, the name doesn't really matter as much as the marker does. I mean, do you agree with these markers like getting taken down and things like that? Or do you think that's a little overstepping, or?
Well, I like to have better markers explaining what's going on. It's not just date, time, and place, but something that gives you more. And a lot of new markers are getting colorized and
Yeah.
maps and stuff. So that's really neat.
I mean, we've seen some of our, like the ones on the square that explain what happened here and things like
Yeah.
that. I know some people have come to me like, we need to change that and update it to be
Yeah.
and this and that. And I'm like, That's a whole other beast to have to tackle. Well, other than the battles of Collierville, do you know, like, are there any events that have happened in Collierville that have really stuck with you? Or I know you've been heavily involved with the museum. Maybe us opening up was a big day for you.
The what?
Maybe the day we opened up was a big day for you. I don't know. Like,
The day we opened up, I mean, I wasn't here when the museum was first. I mean,
I would say you weren't here in the 2012.
I wasn't here part of the museum, no. I started volunteering, and my boss at where I worked, they would let you take off from work to do community service. And other people were building things for, elderly or something, and they said, you can go do your service at the museum. So I was.
Oh, so that's how you got started.
Yeah, I would just come up here.
Interesting. I didn't know we started as a excuse to get out of work.
Yeah, get out of work.
Hey, whatever it takes,
But I can't think of, what would you say, something that I didn't like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, has the museum changed drastically? I know a lot of people, we're very young compared to a lot of institutions, but have we changed drastically over the years?
Well, it's changed a little bit. It used to seem like, I don't know, I'm not maybe as active with that, but they have a lot of little programs for children, like painting and different things like that. It seemed like there were more small little projects, and it seemed like it gathered a lot of people, like children and stuff.
Yeah, well,
and they still do things. They do story time and do stuff like that, but I just don't remember as many of them now as there were back then.
Yeah.
They may be bigger events and.
Well, we are still trying to grow, that's for sure. Because I remember when we first started, I was like maybe a couple thousand people would come in here a year, and now we're inching our way towards tens of thousands. We're trying. We're a little part of America, that's for sure. Is there anything, like when you think about your time in Collierville, is there anything about Collierville you wish more people knew that maybe aren't from here? I feel sometimes Collierville kind of feels like its own little island in the world. So, is there anything that if you had to explain Collierville to a stranger?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people know about the square and how it looks so quaint and sort of the older buildings. You compare it to the neighbor Germantown. It had some of these buildings, but they took some of them down and put modern buildings to try to make them look old, and didn't give you the same feel,
Yeah.
But I have had people all over and say, yeah, I've been to Collier before. I think I've met somebody just recently. I forgot where it was, and he was around here. And he said, yeah, I've been to Collierville. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. It just surprised me that people remember coming here. Is what's
exactly.
And usually it's the square.
Yeah. Oh, I've also heard some whispers that Germantown's a little jealous of our square. They've been trying to boost themselves a little bit to look like ours. So the biggest thing for you is the square, probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, I used to come out here and walk my dog on the square because it was even the rain almost. I could go underneath
the trees,
awnings and the awnings and the trees and keep that little chihuahua from getting wet.
Because gosh forbid we get the puppy wet, So, you think the square is the biggest draw for Collierville, or what would you feel like if you were talking to somebody who was looking for a place to live?
I would think the high school, things like that, and some opportunities like education and some of the, whatever the stores and things that are, for not work, but also shopping and stuff like that. I would think it would be a good draw.
And you think there's anything we should add? I mean, because I know a lot of people complain about there's not a lot for young adults and teens, stuff like that. I mean, is there anything that you think that the town of Collierville can grow into almost?
I'm not a good planner. I'm not sure if I can think of something. Where I live, the park is close to me. They have some really nice, I don't know how, like multi-million-dollar football fields and stuff. They put in artificial turf, and that's just like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And the little playgrounds for the little kiddies.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they're putting more stuff like that in. So I can't think of anything that they think they need. So.
I'm sure somebody else will. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Somebody has more, vision for the future.
Well, and the thing is too is that the town of Collierville is just looking less and less like a town these days. Don't you feel like? I feel like it's getting so big now. It's almost a small city at this rate.
I don't know. To me, a city would have like bigger buildings.
Yeah,
and,
true.
And traffic would be worse. I don't see the traffic getting that much worse, but.
Yeah, it's certainly congested, but it's not getting not drivable. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So do you see as we expand into the future, you know, we have things like the 250th coming up for America.
Right.
I mean, everybody's looking to the future right now. So do you feel like Collierville's going to keep on this path of like just getting bigger and bigger? And
Yeah. I think so. I've heard some things they were going to put around the square, you know, like apartments and stuff. I can't believe they put them next to the railroad track.
oh, that'd be terrible.
But yeah, and the railroad, the trains they don't slow down because they don't have to cross the state highway. So they're not obligated to slow down.
Yeah.
So they come screaming through here.
At
like
120
trying to sleep
miles
the
per
net.
hour. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I still don't see it as a big
city.
Yeah.
And the trains are actually an interesting aspect about this town because they're not commercial in the sense that they're a passenger train anymore.
Right.
But I have heard things like they're apparently merging with other companies in like Canada to make a more diverse train station here.
Oh, okay.
And so do you think, because we all know that the train was pinnacle in the battles of Collierville, that's
Yeah.
what they were fighting over. Do you think trains will continue to be important to Collierville, or do you think eventually like a lot of things will phase those out over time?
You mean like not for passengers? I don't see how that.
I would just be like, in general, I mean,
Yeah.
with the size of Collierville, eventually those train tracks will get in the
that-
way.
That train is a major, I think, thoroughfare through here, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they can move it anyway. Of course, they're putting this major highway, it's supposed to be coming from down through the whole United States. It's coming around Memphis, but so I don't know if they can move that train track or not. You know, that would be kind of a blessing, maybe.
So
I
you
don't
don't have to hear the horn
Yeah.
at 4:30 in the morning every day?
Well, I used to hear it. I don't hear it anymore.
You don't?
No, I don't hear it.
I think they also had some codes put on them to not have to
Really?
lay on them for the whole time they're in Collierville, because, I mean, that
I'm
track.
pretty far north, but I live somewhat closer to the tracks, and I used to hear it in the nighttime.
Fun. So as we wrap things up, is there anything about Collierville, your time here, you feel like people should know? I mean, you seem to have lived a pretty simple life here.
Yeah.
Not too much that's disrupted it. So, I mean, is there anything else that you think that people should know about Collierville, your time here, things like that?
I'm not sure. I already had mentioned some things. I can't think of anything else that would draw them here. You know, I don't know.
And I mean, that's the thing is that what what kind of drew you here? Like, what made you go, this is the place I want to raise the rest of my family?
Well, we'd been going, like I say, going to church here, and so we liked it. We thought it might have been too expensive, but we said, well, this is worth it. It's going to have a good, safe area.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, you know, right there, it had some nice stores, not as many, but so we thought it was a good, safe community to be in.
Are you telling me the Battle of Collierville didn't get you here? Or
No,
did you get
I didn't
that until
know
after?
I didn't learn that until later.
How did you tap into? I've never asked you that question. How did you tap into that? Like,
Well, it was because I think I first really got into it because I volunteered for this group that Diana DeBow was from the town hall. She was asked to research it, and they were going to maybe put out some material for the 150th anniversary. So it was the 150th anniversary. It was the very end of it, so we didn't have much 1 year left.
yeah.
So we got into it deeply, and we actually kept going for 2 years and 3 years. So, and we researched everything about it we could.
And is there a lot of original documentation from it? I know like the Civil War kind of wiped out, and the square, as we know, has gone through a lot. I mean, fires, tornadoes, Civil War battles.
Well, I mean, there's the official records and stuff that you can find and stuff, but talking about relics, you know, with that unusual cannon I mentioned that shot a golf ball size cannonball, they found 5 of them here in town over the years. I know one guy that's a really big relic hunter. I mean, from the 1960s, he was on the magazine cover. He found 3 of them. He didn't know what it was until we had this little group, and he says, now I know what these cannon. And another guy found one right above the museum here.
Oh wow! I didn't even know that's where.
Yeah, the cannon was over here, and he fired it and went right over the town square.
So, and that's the thing is that the lineup for the Civil War battles would have been kind of in our parking lot. So like.
Well, yeah, but a little bit further down.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a fort right there. Yeah, so there was some people there, but they were scattered around. They were spread out.
I wonder if we can go in our basement and do some digging and see if we find anything interesting.
Well, they tore down the house that was behind here, and we thought we'd find some relics there in this old house. We found Matchbox cars and something like this. That's about
Hey, it's better than nothing, right?
You can sell those.
I mean, do you ever go out there and just see if you can find anything? Or
No, our volunteer group, like I say, we have one or two guys that are interested in metal detecting. So we did that. Of course, we were we were working for the city, so we had to go knock on doors and say, can we come in your backyard and metal detect? Like, no, we don't want to see in our backyard. So, but we found some things. Over here we found just a sharp bullet that's come from the automatic kind. The breech loader. Just right out in the yard next door.
I'm surprised they don't call you out before they start building new stuff. You never know what you might find.
I don't have a metal detector.
I mean, we gotta get you that for Christmas or something like that.
I don't know. That's a dirty job.
Yeah, true. People don't typically like you digging up their lawn. No. So, I'm about to say, did you ever work heavily with Clarion Russell before she passed?
Oh yeah, she was part of that. We met in her home a lot. She brought us coffee and stuff. And yeah, I really admired her. She was really. I know
she's our unofficial town historian, and man, we're still going through her collection. She's been gone for quite some time now.
Well, she knew a lot. I mean, you could mention somebody's name, and then she'd know, oh, no, they lived over here, and their son lived over here. And like, that was in 1930s or something. So.
And I think that's when that's where I got that she was looking to do like sonar or deep ground penetration for the fort. Because I think I had gotten some of her research on that to see where it could possibly be. And
I don't know if that was her idea or not. They'd probably Diane Bowe came up with that idea. We didn't think we could afford it. The town would pay for it, so.
Yeah, true.
And we didn't know where to really start,
I mean, I doubt they're gonna let you tear up the square over it, but
tear up a parking lot or move that building over there. No.
Can you just move this out of the way for about 5 minutes? Thank you. I mean, hey, we might still be able to get something figured out. I mean, I know that there wasn't a huge presence here only during the Civil War, and then the Native Americans used this as hunting grounds, so we're not going to find any humongous Native burial grounds or things like that. But I mean, hey, you never know. So.
Well, Germantown, they have a fort over there. I thought it was just all replica, but they said no, these are original earthworks over there, and that was a fort again on the railroad track to protect the railroad tracks from Confederates attacking it. So our phrase we had was Germantown has a fort, but they have no battle. We have a battle, but no fort, because we can't find exactly where it was.
Exactly.
We can determine where it was based on, General Sherman said this was over here and this was over here, and so you can kind of figure out.
Well, because the square didn't look anything like what it does today back then. I mean, was it still kind of the square, or?
Well, no, it wasn't. I mean, you didn't have a main street.
Yeah.
So, but there's a few houses here, but not really fancy houses, just log cabins, I guess. But they burned one to clear out the gun, so they can shoot, clear view of shooting. But so it wasn't much here, and but it was a wholly different. The trees weren't here. It was a lot of pasture for the people. Cleared the land, built a pasture for their horses, and they planted corn. So there was a lot of just like a
empty land.
Empty land, yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they think of a battle happening in the square, they're envisioning that square, and it's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
But because everybody always asks me, did all these buildings here during the Civil War battles, and I'm like, I mean, no.
Well, we pulled up the map for the railroad here.
Yeah.
And it showed that under construction there was an old map, and it hasn't changed in all these years out to a certain mile marker out here. They moved it or something.
Okay.
But the elevation has changed, so the elevation looks different.
So it's gotten higher.
Well, yeah, it got higher, and they smoothed it out from these going up and down these little bitty bumps and stuff, the ridges and stuff.
I think we sacrificed our fort for a nice square, because it's probably under a building right now. You know what I mean?
Maybe on the water tower, I guess.
Yeah, true. The water tower, that was a whole other thing. Well, I mean, if you have nothing else to add, anything?
I can't think of anything about visioning the future.
Hey, I mean, you're planning on staying here for quite some time, right?
I'm retiring and stuck here.
You're not going to move again?
No.
Oh, well, thank you, because we can't find another Civil War expert, Well, I'm going to wrap this up, and I want to thank you again, Steve, for coming out and talking with us about your time in Collierville. This is Nicole Gregory with the In Their Words Collierville Oral History Project.